I'm Michael Bungay-Stanier. This is Change Signal. This is the podcast where we cut through the blather and the BS and the noise to find the good stuff that works in change. If you're a transformational leader and you're looking for the good stuff that works, if you're looking for modern change mastery, this will be your favorite podcast. There's nothing better than talking to people who not only think about change, but actually practice change. And one of my favorite thinkers and writers and practitioners is Ron Carucci. And I'm here at Thinkers 50 and know that Ron is here with me at Thinkers 50. And so I've seized the opportunity, I've snuck him into a room, and we're going to do a really quick deep dive into what's on his mind when he thinks about change and transformation. So Ron, welcome.
Michael, what a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited you're doing this podcast. It's so needed.
Thank you.
This is a conversation that needed to be changed 10 years ago.
I'm doing my best to stir things up a bit. I know who you are, but how do you introduce yourself these days?
I'm the co-founder and managing partner of a consulting firm called Navalent. We are a firm that's 21 years old now, and we spend our days traipsing the hallways of big companies alongside leaders who are in the throes of messy transformational change. And our job is to help them architect that journey and get through it without hurting themselves or anybody else.
I know you're a writer as well. What sort of things do you write about?
So I've done a bunch of research. I've written 9 books. I write a lot about change for Fast Company, Forbes, Harvard Business Review. Change in behavior, change in systems, change in cultures, change in strategies. Leaders are always having to adapt, and so I spend a lot of my time studying real leaders that I work with. And when I have a challenge or a problem I can't answer a question to, or I'm afraid I'm going to be asked a question I don't know the answer to, I go study it and get an answer so that when I'm asked, or before I'm asked, I have a chance to offer some thoughts.
That's why I'm actually pretty excited to talk to you, because unlike others who may go, look, I came up with this idea 12 years ago and I'm still banging that drum, my sense is that your take on what works is a constantly evolving thing. So what do you know now about change and transformation than you might not have known 5 years ago?
Gosh, a lot. The world has changed so much in 5 years. We didn't know there was going to be a pandemic.
Yeah.
We didn't know what AI was going to do. We still don't know what AI is going to do to our world. But change and the even more painful cliche, change management as a firm, always implied a very predictable linear path. Mm-hmm. I set out to hit a target. I had a from and a to. I had a management pathway that got me there. I had milestones. I had predictors. I had a project plan. Those days are gone.
Those days feel like ancient history, don't they?
Ancient history, and 5 years ago is ancient history.
Yeah.
Today, I don't think change management is even a discipline we have to care about.
Yeah.
I think change readiness is far more important.
Okay.
Today, you're always on a frontier, right? You're pioneering and moving the line as you blaze the trail.
Yeah.
So today, leaders more than ever are dealing with levels of uncertainty, unpredictability, and the discomfort that comes with that than they've ever done before. Yeah. What that requires, besides a type of resilience they've never been required to have before, is an understanding of who they are.
Right.
Because they're mapping their way through that journey based on the templates that their body has created over the last 40, 50 years of their life. Yeah. Their bodies took screenshots 40 years ago, and those are the templates by which they're navigating their way through the change, faulty or reliable or not.
This feels provocative, because what I hear you saying is like, look, we're carrying with us stuff from 40, 50 years ago. And I'm going to say that my approach to all of that stuff is mostly pushing it down and ignoring it and pretending that I don't have stuff. But I'm hearing you say something different. It's like we need to actually look at that. What are we looking at?
Well, I refer to them as origin stories.
Yeah.
That those are they're the narratives that shape how we make decisions. So if you have leaders guiding companies of 10,000, 30,000, 80,000 people, those stories are shaping the culture, shaping the decision-making, shaping the strategic choices, shaping the risk tolerance of all those people. Yeah. So if you have a leader who grew up in a home that was highly performance-driven, where a lot was expected of him, if he never knew love unless he or she,
got
performed.
The A, got the gold star, got
and that was all that was acceptable.
Yeah.
Then you have a leader who's setting a bar that's so high, who's weaponizing standards, whose self-contempt or intolerance of anything less than perfect is causing people to be terrified, to be afraid, to not bring in their best ideas, to make decisions that are going to be avoidant of pain, not in the service of innovation or change. And so without knowing it, they're presiding over the demise of the future of their company.
Wow.
I've seen this movie too many times to count.
Is it, I mean, if I'm skeptical and I'm hearing you say that, I'd be going, I mean, I can guess how there's a bit of damage getting done around that, but mostly that stuff's not going to keep showing up. Is it really that obvious in terms of the origin story influencing how people are in that moment?
Let me tell you a story
Yeah.
about a CEO that I work with. His name is Andy. Andy was a founder of this company, grew it to, an enormous organization over 20 years. Suddenly, at the scale at which he had arrived, there were too many plateaus. The seams of the organization were ripping. He was losing talent.
Yeah.
He was losing market share. He had dominated this category for a long time. This is thousands of employees now. Andy, I was the third executive coach to enter Andy's life. Andy was beloved. He was affable. He was a creative genius.
Yeah.
He was admired. People held him in awe.
Yeah.
Andy could not stop talking.
Right.
Could not stop persuading. If he was challenged, he would talk to you war down. If he was perceived to be misguided in his thinking, he would just convince you he wasn't.
Right.
He had an executive team that fawned
Yeah.
and told him what he wanted to hear, including bad information. And so suddenly there was some, not catastrophes, but certainly problematic strategic choices that were being made because people were not pushing back. They all had the information, but they were exhausted. I took Andy away I wanted to get him out of his environment to sort of have alone time with him. And we did a 4-day intensive. On the second day of the intensive, I said to Andy, somewhere in your life you learned that you're safe when you're talking. And you're safer when you're persuading.
Right.
Where would you have learned that?
Yeah.
My clients never struggle with that question.
Right.
They understand it. He didn't skip a beat. He said, 3rd grade. I said, whoa, you've thought about this.
Yeah.
Tell me about 3rd grade. He said, when I was in kindergarten, I was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD, and I had a stutter. And I had to go to classes after school for special training on how to keep up with the curriculum so I could keep up with my peers who were not struggling with those things.
Yeah.
In 3rd grade, I changed schools. And in my new school, those classes were not held after school. They were held at noon at recess.
Right.
So when everybody else went out to eat lunch and to go to play, I walked past all of my jeering, mocking
Right. The walk
students.
of shame.
The walk of shame is what he called it, down the hallway to what everybody fondly referred to as the stupid classroom.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at Andy and I can see pools of water in his eyes and I can see I've hit a very important nerve. And I said, Andy, I'm so sorry, that sounds horrible. And then for the next 3 years, you had to do that. I said, I bet every day you walk down that hallway past all that mockery, you made yourself a promise. Do you remember what you had promised yourself? And he went to speak and he couldn't. He literally could not produce words, which was
a
unusual.
moment because he's a talker. Yeah.
And so he wrote on a piece of paper and he pushed it across the table at me. And on the paper it said, I will never let them see that I'm stupid.
Wow.
Now it didn't say I'm going to prove that I'm smart.
Yeah.
The screenshot he took is you are stupid.
Yeah.
And your job now is to cover that.
Right.
And so he had spent 40 years perfecting all the strategies to deflect people away from discovering his terrible secret of being stupid.
Right. Right.
And now he was very emotional. And I said, Andy, I talked to 30 people in your company who used words like creative genius, brilliant, trailblazer, brilliant ideator.
All external things
That
which
conflicted the narrative he believed.
Yeah.
I said, Andy, no one ever questions your intelligence.
Yeah.
They question your motivation. They question how much you care about them. Because the very strategies you think are avoiding rejection are creating the very rejection you're trying to avoid. I said, those behaviors protected you once, but you don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
And so I said, go for a walk in the woods, get regulated, get yourself calm, and come back. And I want you to think about on your walk, if you could change the promise you made to yourself, what would it be? And after 2.5 hours, he came back, wrote on the whiteboard, I am smart and I am safe when I am silent.
Ooh.
I said, let's go about making that true. And so
What a story.
now Andy had to understand that when somebody was pushing back on him,
Yeah.
it was a sign of respect, not a questioning of exposing his stupidity. When people had better ideas than him, it was a sign he'd done his job, not a sign that he was going to be exposed.
Yeah.
The culture of that organization completely
Shifted
changed
immediately.
because now people brought forth ideas.
Yeah.
They were empowered to go take risks. They could implement new strategies and ideas to grow the company. and growth continued. So, and that's a mild example.
Yeah.
But you see that when a leader is casting those kinds of shadows on an organization, it affects everything. Now, the scary thing is we are all drawn to the cultures that match the narrative we believe. So he had surrounded himself with people who also thought they were inadequate in some way, who also had feelings of inferiority because those were reinforced by his behavior.
Yeah.
So they all had to do their own work.
Yeah.
Now to step up to an environment that invited a voice they wanted to mute.
Yeah. I can feel one of the points of resistance around this conversation, Ron, is people going, I don't want to do therapy, Ron. Look, I hired you to help me change some stuff in my company, and now you're asking me to lie down on the couch. How do you navigate a resistance to facing an origin story?
So you have to earn your way there for sure. And I tell my clients, Greg, don't do therapy. Talk therapy has limitations. Our model of transformation, when we walk into large complex systems and are asked to help navigate that journey, our transformation model has 3 domains. We call it within, between, and among.
Yeah.
Within the leader, that's what we're talking about. But there's also between. There's between the adjacent spaces of functions, sales and marketing. Well, all the warfarers, all the border wars, sales and marketing, supply chain operations, the usual space. Also between teammates. Yeah. And then among are the systemic factors, culture, strategy, governance, structure, and transformational change, as opposed like this when there's discontinuity versus incremental change, which is a tweak.
Yeah.
The reason they fail is because you don't do all 3.
Right.
You could do 2 of them brilliantly and leave one out.
Yeah.
And so I can tell a leader, I can redesign your organization, I can rebuild the adjacent spaces and tighten the seams.
Yeah.
If I don't fix what's inside you, you'll sabotage it. And I can pretty much predict how you'll do that. So I don't need you to gut yourself, but what I can tell you is you're gonna have a lot more joy leading an organization that feels aligned to where you want to take it than one that you're constantly fighting.
Yeah.
Because your origin story now won't match the environment.
Yeah.
And one of the 2 will win, and it'll probably be you.
Yeah. So if you were, I'm pointing at a microphone now, if you were kind of talking directly to the listeners of this podcast, do some kind of virtual non-feedback coaching / facilitation, maybe, I don't know what, 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 steps just to go, here's a small step you could take into leaning into this. Yeah. And you could do it with me if you want, as a kind of a practice around that.
So, tell me a time when you say to yourself, oh, why do I do that? Or, why did I do that again?
Yeah, sure. So I find myself more regularly than I would like getting something that needs a response in my inbox and me going, I'm just not going to do that for a while, and then sitting on it, and then sitting on it, and then going, oh man, I've missed the moment, and I could still do something, but I'm still not acting on it. So just procrastinating around taking some sort of action.
Mm. And in the things that sit in your inbox, that procrastination, is that a word that you've used before to describe it?
I would more commonly describe it as bottlenecking, because procrastinating, meaning I'm just not doing the things that I want to do for myself, doesn't seem to worry me so much, because I'm like, it'll have its season, the time to create will come. It's more when I'm like, I can feel people waiting for me.
And so I would invite you to consider, where did you learn that people shouldn't ask you for things?
It feels a little more along the lines of a lesson around, I need to be self-sufficient. And if you're going to make this work, you've got to get your shit together and kind of take responsibility for it. It's a kind of a responsibility thing. And
so when they ask you for help, they're not being responsible.
Exactly. So I'm like, even though they need my help, because it's not like they're shirking on something. It's like absolutely reasonable for the most part to be asking me this.
Were there times when you felt, as you learned self-sufficiency as an important trait to have in life?
Yeah.
Were there times when you had to be self-sufficient, but you wished you hadn't?
My response is, it's harder to name a time, but I do become aware of a kind of a sense of feeling lonely and isolated around that.
Yeah.
Just going, I can't quite tell you when this was, but that sense of, yeah, it really is just me.
and that's where I would encourage you to spend time.
Yeah.
Because that's the origin story that I have to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
But my guess is there were times and stories in there where you wished you hadn't, that you had help.
Right.
And so now that unmet need of over self-reliance, which of course, let's honor this. Your self-reliance has produced a tremendous amount of good in the world for you, for others.
Yeah.
And so that's the difficult part is somewhere in the origin story is always the giftedness. Yeah. And so how do I disentangle the gift from the roots that maybe formed it that I don't,
it's just like the story of Andy.
Yes.
His persuasiveness, his conversationalness has brought people along, has encouraged people to take risks.
Built an empire.
Has built an empire, said like, this is a man worth following.
And so to your question before about the resistance.
Yeah.
Almost always the resistance is the fear of, but wait, if I take away the driving engine of this, do I lose the gift?
Yeah, yeah.
And the answer is no. You repurpose the gift, but you don't lose the talent you've built as a part of it, but you no longer need it to be motivated by, I have to be self-sufficient. Yeah. And therefore, you don't have to, I'm going to use a strong word, weaponize the expectation of self-sufficiency in others. Yeah. So somewhere I would encourage you to just linger in a kind and compassionate way with yourself in that space, and I'll bet you might find what those emails are symbolizing to you when they show up. I actually think there's a universality there. Yeah. I think there's a lot of, especially for men, a lot of rugged, individualistic, self-reliant people out there who've done amazing things in the world, but are lonely or frustrated inside when people want their help. Yeah. I think it's actually, I'm glad you shared it, because there's a lot of folks going, that's me. Yeah.
And even if it's not you, I think Ron showed you a few ways of working through a process to get to an insight. So you're welcome to listen and maybe do your own reflection around that. It feels like this is a hard thing to scale. Is it?
No, I think leaders are. I think the thing that I'm finding whenever I talk about this with large groups of leaders, people are hungry for this. I think we all want our story to be understood. Yeah. I think thanks to the work of Gabor Mate and Bessel van der Kolk and all the folks that have pioneered this way, we've mainstreamed the notion that behavior is biography.
Right.
And but they don't want to see therapists, they might hire a coach, but they care. Yeah. And I think when you invite people to do it, it's not, people get to the places pretty quickly that they can discover where there's pay dirt. Yeah. Now the question is, can you put things in place that help you actually produce a new narrative, a new behavior? Yeah. It takes time, it takes practice. Andy didn't stop babbling right away. No. He had to train himself, but at least he understood why he was doing it. Yeah. So I think it's very scalable. Yeah.
What guidance would you give people around starting to shift their behavior once they've had an insight as to what might be a kind of a hitherto not fully realized motivating force to behave a certain way that you've come to realize has served you well and also is dysfunctional in this moment?
Yeah, great question. There's two really important things I would say. One is everybody wants the revelation to be the redemption.
Love that. And I'm going to say it again, and I'm looking at the mic. People want the revelation to be the redemption. In other words, now I've had the insight, my work here is done. Yes. As opposed to now I've had the insight, my work is now starting.
Starting, exactly, Michael. Yeah. And it's, for some people, it's so painful. Like, wait, because sometimes the journey, they've already spent years in therapy or coaching, or they read all the books and it didn't produce. So you don't get credit for all that energy, right? You've expended it, those points are gone. Mm-hmm. And now you have this eureka moment, and it's, for a self-reliant person or the babbling person or the verbose person, now it's a starting line. And it's like, but sometimes the disappointment can be so intense, they actually don't proceed. So prepare yourself for the revelation, and the beauty of what that it's a compass. Yeah. The second thing is you have to, self-kindness and self-compassion becomes so critical. Yeah. And I always invite people to have, you don't have to hire a professional, but have a friend. Yeah. Have somebody to talk to about this. Have somebody to, the hold accountable thing is a little bit of a strange term, but somebody to challenge you and push you and encourage you.
Yeah.
Invite people onto the journey. Because here's the thing that, especially if you're a leader, if you become more inclusive, the team you've trained to not be included has to learn to be included.
Right.
If you become more empowering, the people who you've trained to rely on you for decision making have to become decision makers.
Yeah.
So this is never in isolation.
No.
The within always leads to the between.
Yeah.
And prepare them for that, because then they're like, what?
Wait, I thought
you were going to change.
What happened? Yeah.
I didn't want me to change.
Yeah.
And you have to prepare the system for, especially if you're in a very big job with lots of people you're leading, your change is never going to be in isolation.
Yeah.
And so you prepare people for the journey and prepare yourself for your journey and be patient and kind. There's no pill for this, not a silver bullet.
Yeah.
But you will see systemic implications. And okay, your governance structure is designed to be very bureaucratic and not decisive, but you have a bunch of decision makers who can't get decisions made.
Yeah. There feels like all sorts of reasons that you can start that journey to change your behavior with good intention, and almost inevitably you will stumble and slip and fall and revert to old behavior.
Not inevitably, you will.
Yeah, it's like it's a guarantee. And there's the so-called what the hell effect, where you're like, see, too hard. You know what?
I knew it wouldn't work.
I knew it wouldn't work. Forget it. It was fine. It was good enough the last time. What guidance would you have for people around how to keep returning to the work?
Yeah, brilliant question, Michael, because it's regression is inevitable.
Yeah.
Whether you start at within, between, or among, regression is inevitable.
Yeah.
It isn't, I do a whole module on this in my change course on how to face regression.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not failure, it's data.
Yeah.
Because the regression didn't happen at a random moment. It happened when a moment got too hard. For the culture to adapt, for the strategy to stick, for the team to collaborate and be vulnerable, for you to not talk.
Yeah.
Expect it.
Yeah.
Prepare for it. That's why it's great to have others involved.
Yeah.
Because that's where you can get some encouragement. That's where you feel defeated, you feel angry, you feel resentful that you have to do it. You feel resentful you didn't learn it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. And so expect this to be it's iterative, it's messy, it's never linear.
Yeah.
That's just part of the adventure.
Yeah, welcome to being human.
Welcome to being human, and accept it.
Yeah.
And don't stop. Don't stop.
So if you stumble, and I like what you're saying, which is like, is it failure? It's just data. You look at the stumble and you ask what? I mean, how do you learn from the data?
What was it about the moment
Yeah.
that invited that behavior?
Yeah.
Be curious.
Yeah.
I wonder why the old familiar narrative felt more safer than trying something new here. What was it about the precedent of the day, or the precedent of the decision, or the person you're interacting with?
Yeah.
And then be curious about what that moment was. The other thing is your own sense of shame, you'll project it. I know they're all saying, see, I knew you wouldn't last.
Right.
They're not. They're not saying that. They're not thinking about you at all.
Yeah.
And so they're disappointed for you. They're not disappointed in you.
Yeah.
You know what? You have these great magic words that work. You just say, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I see what I did there.
I goofed.
Yeah.
Let me try again.
Yeah.
People love that. You actually double your credibility when you own it.
Yeah.
They know you did it. They're not sure you know.
Yeah.
If they understand that you're aware of it, they're great. They'll give you all the grace you need. Don't cheapen the grace by keeping failing.
Yeah.
And then if the people who keep talking about the change but never doing it, you cheapen grace. And then they're like, okay, I get the game here.
Yeah.
Duplicity. Say one thing, do another. Got it.
Ron, for people who want more of you and your work and your writing, I mean, as you say, you're easily found in HBR and Fast Company and other places. But is there a place online they can find you and your work?
Absolutely. Come to Navalent, Navalent.com. That's our website for our firm. My research is a lot of it's found at tobehonest.net.
Right.
Where my last book and all the articles, and there's a video series, and we did a TV show there. So that was the second place. And then follow me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Ron, thank you.
It's a pleasure.